Graham Stephan's recent video talks about how people in their 20s can be successful. And let's talk about some of the advice he gave on a number of things. Some of them are useful, some not, but what I was truly impressed by, one idea that he had where he said that he recommended people not listen to people who have not been successful, especially in their field. If you ever spent 5 minutes on the internet or went to a family gathering, there are quite a number of people who offer all sorts of advice on finance, but the problem is that many of them do not have a clue about what they are talking about. People who are not successful sometimes give financial advice, but the question is, should you listen to them? Graham says you should only listen to those who you would trade places with. And indeed, you should only listen to people who have proven that they can be successful. If you want to know how to start a business, you should listen to people who have started a business. Or if you want to listen to someone who has been successful with finances, focus on someone who's successful in finance. People who have not been successful have a tendency to have grievances or biases that aren't helpful when it comes to making good financial decisions. So don't listen to them. The fact that Graham has been successful is one reason why people should at least consider his views on financial issues. Another piece of advice Graham Stephan offers in his latest video is to work on one's credit score. If one is starting out in life, one has literally no credit and it can be difficult to get an apartment, home, or even a job, according to Graham. I'll be honest, I'm not so sure it is tough to get a job without credit, but I'll take Graham for his word on that. Graham's solution is the Discover It card. It allows new borrowers to get a secured credit card where you put a deposit and you can build up credit as you use the card. This will allow you to develop a credit history. I would say that building up credit is not necessarily a part of achieving financial success, though. Dave Ramsey would say one's credit history has absolutely nothing to do with achieving financial wealth. This is where I have some differences with Graham. Graham focuses quite a lot on credit, but how does this build wealth? Getting more debt does not, by itself, lead towards wealth. Some would say more debt leads to more fragility and creates a risk of suffering from a liquidity crisis during tough financial times. Think of anyone who borrowed too much in 2008 or had stocks on margin in 2008. They lost a lot of money. Didn't matter if they had good credit. In our era, mortgages are 8%, so even if you have pristine credit, you can't easily replicate the strategy Graham used to make money. That is, to buy real estate with credit and hold it over a long period of time. But at 8%, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to make money with real estate with the same strategy that Graham used. Unless interest rates are suddenly to go back down, highly unlikely, or real estate goes to the moon. Also, not quite that likely considering how interest rates are so high at the moment. I wish it were possible for people to still make wealth the same way Graham did, but he was able to use low interest rates when homes were incredibly cheap as well. Sure, that can happen again, possibly. The third solution Graham offers makes more sense. He recommends getting work experience. Getting work experience will result in a lot more money. Graham does offer the great idea of focusing one's attention on the ultimate objective. That is, the kind of job that one truly wants that has the potential to bring about good financial results. He says not to focus on money in the beginning, since that stops you from focusing on getting experience. That kind of makes sense. If you have no work experience and you want $200,000 a year, your potential employer will say, nope, that's not going to happen. And then you won't get the experience, and as a result, you won't make a lot of money either. If one wants to make a lot of money, it has to be a business that scales, according to Graham. It should be a position that does not depend upon putting in a lot of hours at work per se. A good example of this is real estate, according to him, like real estate agent. Multiple streams of income. What's interesting is, even though Graham talks about multiple streams of income, I wouldn't be surprised if 90% of his income comes from YouTube, so I don't know if he practices that in reality. Dividend income, he says that you should do that. I dispute that. That is not really a good way to make money. Dividend money is not some magical money that comes out of nowhere. Dividend income comes at the expense of stocks continue to grow. Dividend stocks have a tendency to underperform the market. Rental properties, one can make money passively, although rental properties do require a lot of time, so it's not really passive. Side hustle, he says you need to do something productive, independent of one's main form of income. Avoid lifestyle inflation. So many people spend way more than they make because as they make more money, as you go from 40 to 80,000, they think that they need to spend a lot more money. Graham says you should be spending about the same amount of money no matter how much you're making. When Graham wants to spend a certain amount of money, he needs to know how much he needs to save in order to pay for that item. I like this item. I'm extremely frugal, and no matter how much money I make, I have a tendency to spend about the same amount of money. So I do agree with Graham on that. Graham says one should invest immediately, but I dispute this because there are some time periods when it might not be ideal to be 100% invested. And today might be that era where it just might not make sense. Roth IRA, this is a good idea. Graham recommends Roth IRA since it is 100% tax-free when you retire. Yeah, that'll help you get wealthier. Which investment should one choose? He recommends index funds. I think that's true. I agree with his approach since it is unlikely that someone would choose the best individual stock, like Jeremy on financial education. House hacking, he recommends buying a property, having a roommate, and renting out to other rooms. Here's how I wish Graham made his video though. Instead of throwing out so many ways to make money, it would be ideal if Graham said the best way to make money is to invent a time machine back to 2008 and do exactly the same things that Graham did, including using credit to buy real estate really cheap with really low interest rates. Start a YouTube channel when nobody was talking about a lot of these topics that weren't covered by other channels. The truth is, all of Graham's ideas are interesting and might help, but they won't automatically help one accomplish wealth. Good credit won't help with high interest rates. It's just super high, like 8% for a mortgage now. In this era where it's very tough to get ahead, it is interesting to take advice from YouTubers like Graham or even me. But the truth is, nothing really will. If you think about it, you really use your own independent judgment. Some people just have a knack for finding something, some kind of unusual skill that they have that other people just don't see. They don't see the opportunity that exists, especially when something just doesn't look like it's there. I'll give an example. In my area, there's a little tiny taco stand. It's like the tiniest property you've ever seen. And this property was very difficult to get someone to want to actually either buy it or rent it because it's so tiny. But some woman who knew how to make tacos saw that little piece of land, realized it's kind of a busy area, and realized, hey, you can create a little taco shop in that little tiny spot. And so what has happened is she used it to basically create a taco area that's enormously successful. The same person would have seen that and said, I can't do anything about it. There's no way to make money with something that small. But someone who realized what was possible and had the vision can make it happen. So it's great, the ideas that Graham has. He's very generic, and they're probably apply to millions of people, and they're good ideas. But nothing can replace the fact that you are an individual. You have unique ideas and maybe even insights that will allow you to make more money. And the truth is, you can't really easily cover that in a video. When you see some unique opportunity, don't wait for some YouTuber to tell you that you should take advantage of it. You have to really use your own brain. That's pretty much how these things work. Anyway, going on at length, and be sure to click the like button. I'm really trying to compete with Graham. Maybe I'll be the next Graham. Subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.